This is honestly amazing. It's just getting somehow worse for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. People were pissed. Now people are getting even more pissed somehow. Man, it has not been a good couple of last 20 years for Activision Blizzard now, has it?
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Holy hell, we have had Activision absolutely screw the pooch, and I'm kind of happy I'm a little bit late to this one because we've been able to hoover up all of the follow-up reporting to kind of understand just how the hell something that should have been a epic situation for the game ended up being a complete, honestly, failure. Because yes, while Chris Metzen may have appeared and brought the thunder at BlizzCon, explaining why I was off for a few days and have, well, lost my voice, I'm only back now, who did not bring the thunder is whoever the hell decided to make this happen for Activision. Okay, let's be real, this year they have basically screwed up Call of Duty the most that they ever have. Now, seemingly the multiplayer component is all shaping up to be quite fun. The problem is everything else around.
The multiplayer component, it's just the exact reskin of the previous one, and as long as you give people a new map, they're gonna probably be okay. They're just... The campaign cannot be reskinned because that's lame. But the multiplayer, that can be easily reskinned. That can be the exact same copy-pasted thing from the previous game mode, and people are gonna be happy. Even admittedly there, people are kind of complaining because they seemingly have only gotten 40 new weapons, plus 90 old ones, which seems like a lot to me. But then again, if all the weapons feel almost the exact same except how long they can shoot, maybe that's a big deal. I don't know.
Of course, we do see Modern Warfare 3, Activision, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Beenox, Demonware, High Moon Studios, Raven Software, and Toys for Bob. It truly is a collab. And you can see an IGN 4 out of 10. Go to Steam.
9% critics recommend. That's not good.
And you see mixed. So there you go. IGN 4 out of 10. Steam 42%. We have a D+ from Gaming Age. We have awful reviews across the board. The campaign has been out for a week. Unfortunately for them, they decided to use campaign early access as a way to squeeze more money out of players. Those are players who will not want to be squeezed again because the campaign is honestly utter tripe. And that is a big shame. I grew up on Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, the original price.
That's also kind of sad.
Obviously, on these games, the games that these were inspired by, I liked the reboot franchise, and that 3, from a campaign perspective, is bad, is really, really sad. Now, you have the journalists who are pissed at how bad this is. You have the YouTubers who are...
Hey, we watched this. It's pretty funny. So it turns out, by the way, spoiler alert for the story, the whole story is this guy named Makarov or something like that. And this is essentially what happens. He bad guy. You catch him. He gets away. But he bad guy. You go catch him. You catch him. He gets away. He bad guy. You catch him. He gets up. Yeah, that's essentially how it goes. Okay? This man is the Houdini of our age. Okay? He just magically appears and disappears at all times. Man, this guy literally teleports behind you at some points, and he just whispers in your ear, nothing personal, kid. That's how good he is at doing that. It's kind of crazy.
Are rightly pissed at how bad this is. Narratively, everybody has wrecked it. Gameplay-wise, the industry standard Call of Duty bombastic campaign has not happened. It is lackluster. It is flagging. The set pieces...
Also, I don't see people talk about this, but man, Starfield looked like it was 20 years, you know, old game when it released, right? Call of Duty graphics are also complete dog water. Like, what the hell? Again, I don't play COD. I don't know these things because, you know, I'm not a zoomer or Dr. Disrespect. Okay? What? The graphics for that game are atrocious. At some points, you can just see the NPCs like, and that's how they look. That's while they're talking. Unless it's a cutscene, it's garbage. Wow, it's like, also the cutscenes aren't the greatest ever. Dude, Call of Duty does not look like a modern AAA game. In the slightest, sadly. It looks like 10 years old at this point. It's pretty sad.
Do not hit hard. The new innovation of open missions effectively just puts the player in a section of a Warzone map with some loot and AI that's barely a threat and says, I guess this'll do, in lieu of something that we spent a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, true, I noticed that a lot. The AI just notices you, and then they shoot around you like a perfect circle. There's like 100 billion bullets just all around you. And that's how it is. And then they reload, and then they do it again. Like, barely any bullets hit you, but there are situations where, well, every bullet hits you. And why that is, I can't even honestly tell.
For working on. I say that, it sounds mean, but that even this exists is probably the testament to Herculean efforts from game developers, and that is what this industry does. It forces people to go to Herculean lengths, to go absolutely crazy, to crunch a game out, only for that to be shit because of bad planning.
That's not true. The developers are shit. No, the corporate's not making you make a bad game, okay? It's the developers who make bad games. We have heard this, at this point we already know that this is true, by the way. We have heard how many stories about game devs who have, like, I don't know, a year to finish some kind of project part, and they completely fumble the first 6 months. They don't do anything. They're just taking it easy, and then it's the last stretch, and then they only start doing work, and then they need to do the crunch thing, and they're like, oh, I didn't have enough time. No, you completely fumbled all the time that was given to you by not doing anything and not trying. You didn't even come to work. Dude, you didn't do anything, and you're gonna blame someone else for you not having enough time? We have heard these stories hundreds of times already. Game devs are incompetent across the board.
That is what has people leave our industry and go to other places. Now, add all of that then to multiplayer that is maps from the original Modern Warfare 2 that widely were believed to have been planned for inclusion in Modern Warfare 2, the second, that are only now releasing. So there are some, there are some suspicions there from players, let us just say. There's the return to gameplay from some prior games as well, basically going through a wish list of fan demands with not that much major in terms of new additions. We've got the Zombies mode that required the involvement of Treyarch that basically is a reskin version of the DMZ mode from the free-to-play Warzone, but without the PvP,
nice.
And with the AI enemies turned into zombies. And we do here mean literally reskinned. Here's from Westy. The Modern Warfare Zombies mode still has DMZ beta listed in the top corner. Some loading screens, so they didn't even have the time to go and, scrub away the
They didn't care. They had time. They just didn't care.
Embarrassing bits. Now, what this was supposed to be was the Call of Duty that would break all the rules, that would say we're no longer throwing your past investment into the bin. This is a platform going forward. It's got the characters you want, the setting you...
By the way, I absolutely... You know what I hate about Call of Duty? That it's like this complete Zoomer fiesta. Okay? Every time you do an action in this game, it gives you a medal. Bam! You took a Brita on your own without assistance. Here's a medal. Okay? You shoot someone in the leg, you get a leg shot medal. God, I hate it. I don't need to be rewarded for absolutely everything. I'm not a 9-year-old getting my 275th participation trophy that week for being trash at something. I don't like that.
You want, the gameplay features you want, all for $70. Instead, though, we have had a hastily thrown...
You see what I mean? Look at this. Defense Kingslayer Survivor. Bro. What is this? Like, give him a throne or something like that at this point. It's just, this is so stupid. I hate this. I hate this so much. I hate the fact that Call of Duty is trying to appeal to, like, literal 7-year-old children. And, well, I don't know, brain-damaged people. This is what this tries to appeal to. I hate it so much.
Thrown together. We've got basically the Wish.com. Modern Warfare.
Oh, and look at this. Then it after it does this. Look at this. look at this.
We have had
You get the defense Kingslayer, and now, dude, you have it shown here, but here's also where it's shown with a giant icon, so you feel even more special about yourself for achieving nothing of value. God, video games should not be for kids, okay? I'm actually gonna say this. Maybe we should not allow children under 18 playing video games, you know? Maybe that's actually a good thing. Because this is just sad.
Hastily thrown together. We've got basically the Wish.com Modern Warfare 3, the Temu Modern Warfare 3. It's a goddamn disaster, and now that a few days have actually passed, we know the story why. And if you would like to support the sorts of things we do, look at this. This is bellular.ghost.io. We'll get the proper URL working soon. This is our membership site. Here you can see content from our team. And
look at that, crying Anduin. Or mental breakdown Anduin, because life is so hard and shit. Wow, that's very impressive.
Honestly, it's awesome. Thank you so much for your support jumping in here. We've got so much content from our news team. All of the documents, you see them before I do. We also here have a loading screen, which, look, here's today's loading screen, which is basically us bringing you all of the game industry news. There is so much content on there. We are truly trying to build that future.
Okay.
Where it don't have to be relying on ads.
That sounds cool.
Ads and sponsors and all that stuff. You get bonus content, more content, earlier content, and a say in what we do. Check it out down below. It's the best way to support what we're doing, because you know what? We're just going to be going hard. Okay, behind the scenes, Jason Schreier was the original reporter who broke that Call of Duty originally was planned to be delayed in 2023, that instead there would be an expansion pack for Modern Warfare 2. But that expansion pack was then reworked into a full release, because guess what? Gotta have those beams. Does completely mismatching player expectations count? Matter? No, apparently not. To these money-grubbing bastards who, well, just want money and who have clearly been okay screwing over all of their players and all of their developers, who are the people that actually, as you could say, make the rock roll, right? You screw up the devs, you've screwed the pooch. And this is bad for what this massive franchise.
I love how he constantly defends developers like they're not idiots and incompetent.
Going forward, this certainly is a delicious post-acquisition surprise for Mr. Phil Spencer, who I imagine is currently thinking, what have they done? Oh, we're going to have to fix this problem when we acquire.
Microsoft buys Blizzard. Absolute gamer move, what can I say? Then Microsoft buys Bethesda. Man, if I was a well, I am a Microsoft investor, by the way, but man, if I was if I had a say in that, if I had enough shares to have a say in that, I would be pretty pissed that they got Blizzard, one of the most hated gaming companies in all of existence currently, and Bethesda. Also, another hated and absolute failure of a game company. Like, Jesus Christ. Blizzard has not balanced a single game in 20 years. They have never balanced, in fact, anything. StarCraft 2 is the closest they got, and even that's kind of like shit. You know? At the competitive level, and that's why people kind of actually stop watching competitive StarCraft, because it's boring. It's really bad, because Blizzard can't balance anything. So, way too often you get a situation where, oh, it's late game this versus late game that. Well, the other side may as well succeed, just concede, because there's just nothing they can do. Man. And then you have Bethesda. Redfall, Fallout 76, Fallout 4 to a certain extent, even though that like one feels like a masterpiece after Starfield. Starfield, man, Microsoft has bought a bunch of shit lately, huh?
So the way it works, right? Most COD games take about 3 years of development, but the bulk of this game, as Schreier said, was made in less than a year and a half. Now, do you remember the recent King Kong game that went viral that had 12 months of development time? Yeah, that's 2/3 of what Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 got. Now, obviously, this would have been a deeply miserable experience for the involved teams, especially in a campaign that was crunched out, in particular for Sledgehammer, because this represents the second Call of Duty title that they have been asked to throw together very quickly, only to have, you know, a pretty middling response. Here's some quotes from Shire's reporting. The abridged production schedule proved stressful. Some staff at Sledgehammer who had to work nights and weekends to finish the game say they feel betrayed by the company that they were promised they wouldn't have to go through another shortened timeline after the release of their previous game, Call of Duty Vanguard, which was made under a similarly constrained development cycle.
Get promised something in corporate? Yeah, okay. I mean, hey. It's not corporate's fault you actually were stupid enough to believe their promise, okay? That's your fault for thinking that they're not gonna lie to you. I mean, you can't blame that one on corporate. You should have known better.
And obviously, what was Vanguard? Vanguard was the thing that actually scared investors that the Call of Duty thing could go off the rails. And rather than actually do what was right for the devs and the players and the goddamn shareholders, they for some reason did this, which is just goofy ass shit. Developers gave conflicting stories on what they understood the game to be from the original development. Is it a premium launch? Is it an expansion? They often didn't know. The plan was left ambiguous for the first few months.
Okay. What's the difference between a premium launch or an expansion? Just make something good, bruh. What are you talking about? How can you be this stupid? How can you not understand these things? How?
Months of development. Others were told it was an expansion. All said they were under the impression it was an expansion until much later in the process. How can it be so confusing that the people working on it don't even have a clue what's going on?
Because
well, it turns out it helps that the executives here decided to ignore the creative vision of their teams and also overrid them midway through development and demanded completely unreasonable goals. Allegedly, Sledgehammer pitched a follow-up to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
We have seen the videos where people in game dev positions are asking for things, okay? These goals were not unreasonable, okay? Activision just needs to fire these morons who are currently trying to make these things. Those things were not probably even remotely complicated goals, honestly. We have seen this. The guy who was behind Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, when they made their game company and they made their thing, and he's like, okay, I need you to do this little thing right here, and the response was, yeah, this is gonna take me 7 months. And his eyes are like open. What do you mean 7 months? I can do it right now in less than a day, and you're saying 7 months? The fastest I can do is 5 months. Okay? That's just incompetence at its absolute peak. Okay? Now, these developers were not... We have gone to the point where everyone's, oh, the developers, they're so innocent, poor, and fluffy. Everyone's defending them like there's some kind of holy goat or whatever. No, the developers are stupid and incompetent. These people, the demands were probably not unreasonable. They were just incompetent and couldn't get it done because they're bad at their jobs.
Warfare. Of course, that's the game they wanted to work on after the horrible development of Call of Duty Vanguard. That game was shelved so they could build the new Modern Warfare. So that feels shit. So they did build it, and per the sources, for several months, they were working on a game that basically would have a scope and a timeline that meant that it could be done under these constraints. But then in summer 2022, the Activision executives got involved, and that's where it all went really lovely. The original plan was scrapped. They were told that they simply had to make a world-spanning Modern Warfare 2 sequel game in the remaining time left. This would involve callbacks to the original Modern Warfare narrative with the villain of Makarov. So, with 16 months to make a game,
So it is true. The US just actually went, the Pentagon actually just went to Activision and said, hey, you better pump out a game now where the bad guy is 100% Russian. We talked about this in the previous video, but if you do not know, that is true. In movies, in entertainment, and whatever, this is just psychological warfare that happens constantly. The US government actually checks movies before they're released if they want to add something, or, you know, implant some kind of messaging like this person bad, or this country bad. So yeah, currently, yeah, the idea that this is US government orchestrated, it seems kind of believable that they had such a rush thing. Because keep in mind, if you're Activision, you can't say no to the Pentagon or the government or the whatever. They're gonna just shut you down. They don't give a shit. They're gonna ruin your lives. So yeah, this is starting to become more and more believable, actually. This is great.
Scope massively ballooned, the story had to be completely reworked alongside entirely new assets made, and they had to do this without any form of concrete structure. Quote,
yeah, I wonder why this is suddenly so important that the evildoers are Russian. Yeah, I really wonder why that's suddenly like a huge talking point. Yeah. Damn. Kind of funny.
The nature of the release was left hazy, but the scope was ambitious and included an update to the popular Zombies mode, several multiplayer maps, and a single-player campaign. Of course, though, it's worth remembering that with how COD works, each studio has its own franchises, right? So Sledgehammer don't own Modern Warfare, but here they were making the sequel. What did that mean? That meant another layer of interference and difficulty, as they had to go and run all of their decisions past another team before they could get anything done. Developers also said they were frustrated having to run their content by executives from Infinity Ward, the Activision studio that's normally responsible for Modern Warfare. Staff in the game said they dealt with inefficiencies, waiting and feedback, and making significant and sometimes unwanted changes.
Wait, so what? So you're mad because things get approved by someone who does the Modern Warfare series? Okay, well, that's a very nice complaint you have there.
Is based on directions from above. So effectively, Infinity Ward were told that someone else would be making the next installment in their own series, but they would also have creative input in Sledgehammer's work, which obviously just like set them against each other and created chaos. This went as far as seemingly having vetoes in terms of what systems could be built and executed on. Here's one where Charlie Intel, I think this happened like 1 or 2 nights ago, Charlie Intel corroborated Bloomberg's report, having several sources tell them that one of the changes Infinity Ward made to Sledgehammer's design was removing the Pick-10 loadout system, and basically the new system is a morphed sort of version of what it once was. Just the idea then that this was Sledgehammer really making what should have been Infinity Ward's game, an obviously shitty position for everybody involved, especially if you are an Infinity Ward staffer who is excited to like finish off the big story or really do your vision of Modern Warfare 3, only to have it be completely ruined like this. Immediately following the breaking of this story, Sledgehammer Games studio head Aaron Hanlon put out a statement broadly just saying how proud.
By the way, anyone, like seriously, has anyone noticed that the game devs are never responsible for a game being bad? You know, the people who made the systems that you play, the people who made the shitty inventories, the people who made the shitty leveling system, the this and that. Have you noticed that they're never responsible for the games being bad, okay? That it's always someone else. It's magically the board of directors who personally went to their houses at night, barged their way in, stomped on their cat, and then told him, okay, you see this gathering system? You're gonna make it exactly like this so it's bad. No, that's not true. Again, when was the last time game developers did not blame someone else for their mistakes? I personally can't remember when that happened the last time.
You know, he was of the team for everything that they've achieved. It basically doesn't address any allegations other than a brief suggestion that anything to the contrary to the idea they've been working this for years is not true. Obviously, much like with that King Kong game that we mentioned, it's hard, I mean, it's hard to see that what he said is right, especially given how damn leaky the ship has been, because staff were telling us exactly what was going on. So, corporate-driven development, line go up. Modern Warfare 3 then represents the worst of AAA game design, narrative design, production planning, all from the executive branch, not from the people who actually make the goddamn games, without a care for what the devs actually want. That's why the game is bad, that's why it's burning, that's why devs and fans are exhausted. The objective for management here was not to make a good video game. It was not even the long-term health of their own franchise. If they wanted that, they would have listened to their developers, they would have given them some creative control, they would have done the expansion pack deal.
The developers have all the creative control. over almost everything. Jesus Christ. Stop. Stop.
See, it would not have been the biggest year for Call of Duty, but guess what? Rather than be angry and rather than feel betrayed over...
Oh, and just someone doesn't misunderstand what I mean. Developers have all the control over the creative stuff. Okay? The people above the developers are kind of just overseeing the big things. If the gunplay is bad, that's on the developers. If the leveling system is bad, that's on the developers. If anything is bad except the main overall story narrative, that's pretty much on the developers. The developers are responsible for pretty much everything but the main storyline, and even then they're responsible for making it the correct way.
Over them saying, hey, campaign early access, that's worth pre-ordering or getting the better edition for. Can you imagine the people are like, oh, fine, I want to play the campaign. I'll pre-order the game. And then they're met with the worst COD campaign there's been. Maybe since Ghosts. I don't know, maybe Ghosts was worse. But seriously, that is just screwed. It is telling, though, that in Bloomberg's analysis, they don't actually think this will have much of an impact on the initial sales or the long-term audience for these games. People are getting basically the wish list of multiplayer features they were hoping for, and the campaign will soon be forgotten about as just a piece of filler. Basically, they turbo-monetized their worst foot, which they put forward. Quite amazing in terms of just incompetence. Inclusion of the microtransaction store, even with no new Modern Warfare 3 content yet, and the fact that purchases are crossing over into Modern Warfare 3 means that folks are already well embedded into the microtransaction environment of this new game. A whole layer of money-making friction has been removed, and while the new COD game is shit, at least you know, the non-multiplayer bit, at least the things that people have purchased, have not went away. And in a month...
True, you get to keep your Nicki Minaj skin. Also, why do they think that the Nicki Minaj skin is gonna be like the big seller? Really, Nicki Minaj for a bunch of sweaty 10 and 30-year-olds? Nicki Minaj. Well, I guess there's maybe some appeal to that.
Time, Season 1 of the live service will start along with Warzone. That's where the money will be printed. But there is one difference now, that is that Activision are no longer in charge. I think it would be spurious to suggest that Microsoft will step in and just magically change things, because literally all evidence to date is that they don't jump into the management of individual series and studios unless they absolutely have to. I think instead they will support management to make the games that they want to make, right? I think Activision management will want to make games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, even at the cost of overriding studios who actually build the games. The question, though, is, will there be enough of an outcry for Microsoft to step in? And this is maybe where we could see things, because we've said with the...
Why would Microsoft not step in? That's my question instantaneously.
Historical evidence, look. Microsoft could have made Redfall not be a Redfall, but they obviously were hands off. They were like, it's fine, we're 70s and 80% on our mock reviews, it's fine, and then obviously it wasn't. And one of the things that Phil Spencer said in the PR tour after that was just saying like, okay, 60 FPS will come, but also, maybe we were too hands off. In the way of, maybe we actually didn't give them the support that they needed.
Dude, that's just called PR speak, and he fell for it. He doesn't actually mean that. No, they're taking accountability because that currently sounded good at the time because they had only Redfall as a problem to deal with. They didn't have Activision shit. They didn't have Starfield. They didn't have any of that, okay? So at that point, taking accountability and being the big boy in the picture sounds pretty good, okay? They're not gonna do it again. Obviously, it's bullshit. Anyone who has been even in the corporate world for 5 seconds know that that's all PR bullshit. Oh yeah, it's our fault for taking responsibility. We will do better. It's all lies.
Certainly, I think things could be interesting. Now, I think much has been made of the idea that now Blizzard are free. Ooh, they're free-range Blizzard. But at least what Ybarra had said is that when it comes to doing things, they'll be getting approval from different people. And that maybe will be a good thing. Because ultimately, the bit of Activision Blizzard that we like in many cases is the game teams. Because, hey, you look at a lot of D4, those devs tried really hard, and they've moved things in a way better direction.
Are you kidding me? He's now saying D4 good? D4 is bad. I want every single person who worked on D4 to get fired. Without exception, also, by the way. Bruh, we have literal videos where the designers of the game, who put together the levels and shit, are literally not knowing that there's a, you know, mouse button to click. So they can't cast their actual big skills. They don't do even that. They have never played the game. They have never wanted to play the game. I want everyone from D4 fired. They are literally the peak of incompetence. I don't want devs who don't even play their own games making games, okay? Absolute red flag. What are you talking about?
You look at World of Warcraft. I mean, they've turned that motherfucker around. Pretty damn impressive. You look at even a lot of parts of CODs that
they haven't turned anything around in World of Warcraft also. You just have Chris Metzen announcing, okay, here's going to be 3 expansions instead of 1 expansion announcement. Which is good technically for the story, but that doesn't mean that World of Warcraft is going to be good. I mean, I get it. Obama got a medal for wanting to do good, but not actually ever doing any good. I get it. But he's a president. He gets medals for not doing anything and just for dreaming big. You're game developers, though. You don't get medals for doing nothing.
COD that people do like, of Overwatch, like the engine developers of Overwatch. It feels so good to play. So many of the heroes feel really good. The thing that's pissed us all off is the things that have been driven by corporate, you know, like the Overwatch League, it's now dead. We know the Overwatch League massively damaged development of Overwatch in the way that core fans will care about, and it was kind of just bob.
The Overwatch League didn't damage development at all. There was no development because the Overwatch devs were idiots. Overwatch spent more than a year in a meta where it was just a stare-off contest between 2 sides. You had this side with tanks and healers, you had this side with tanks and healers, and then this was the gameplay. Oh, they're going in. Oh, they went in. Nope, they're going back. The Overwatch, no one forced them to keep that meta alive for a year or something, where it lost all of its traction because it was just a snooze boring fest. Okay? It's just they're incompetent. No one told them to keep that. Wow.
Bobby's little pet scheme. Now it's dead. You would like to think anyway that with different ownership that some good changes could actually happen. I think the reason why people have been so frustrated with ActiBliz for so long is because we know they have the development talent. We know they have the IPs.
No.
It's the continual cocking up of all of that. And I think that there being a massive post-acquisition disaster is frankly good news. It is good news because anyone at Microsoft who is thinking, oh, for God's sake, this is reducing the value of the asset we acquired. That's good because I think Microsoft, warts and all, probably are going to be better.
Yeah, but we already knew that Microsoft is going to step in and actually do things. You don't buy a company, especially for billions, when you think the company is doing great and amazing. You buy it when you think this is doing poorly and we can do way better. That's why you buy companies.
Better owners.
Most of the time, in these situations at least.
Than the quarterly horniness of one Bobby Kotick's bank account. Okay, that is it for today's story. Listen, bellular.ghost.io, head over there, sign up.
Yep, that's it for today's story. Wow, was this an absolute question mark? Well, that was for Bellular News. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sensei. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.